You know the kind of girl who walks into a room and everyone turns to look, even if they don't know why. That was my sister Kay. She didn't need to try. She just shined. Even when we were little, people noticed her. At church, at school, at the grocery store, strangers would stop and say, "She's such a pretty girl, a little model in the making." She'd smile, giggle, and do a little twirl, and right behind her, me holding mom's purse, carrying dad's coffee. As we got older, the spotlight only grew brighter. Kay discovered TikTok, and suddenly our house turned into her personal film studio. Ring lights in the living room, outfit changes in the hallway, music blasting through the walls. I remember trying to study for my AP Calculus exam while she filmed a lipstick tutorial 10 feet away, yelling at the camera about shade matching like it was a life or death situation. But what hurt wasn't the noise. It was the way our parents leaned into it, encouraged it, celebrated it. "She's got such a gift," my mom would say while curling Kay's hair for a live stream. "If she plays her cards right, she could be famous before college." My dad would grin. I had gifts too. I built my first website at 14. I was tutoring algebra by 15, but nobody turned on a ring light for that. Instead, my wins were whispered. A nod, a "good job, kid." Then silence, until Kay walked in and suddenly the room came alive again. I wasn't jealous. I was invisible. It's strange how silence can be louder than praise. You begin to wonder if your existence only matters when someone else isn't taking up the air. At night, I'd lie awake and hear my parents laughing with Kay in the kitchen, reviewing her latest video, giving her tips on engagement and hashtags. Meanwhile, I was alone in my room watching Python tutorials and wondering if anyone would ever celebrate me the way they celebrated her. You see, Kay's success wasn't the problem. It was how my own light kept getting dim just to make hers shine brighter. At 12 years old, while most kids were dreaming of skateboards or glitter notebooks, I was stuffing wrinkled dollar bills into a shoebox under my bed. Babysitting, pet sitting, tutoring kids 2 grades below me, $5 here, $10 there. Quiet, consistent, invisible. Every time I heard Kay beg for something, the new iPhone. Everyone at school has it, I'd watch as my parents handed over the credit card like it was a hug. No hesitation, no questions, just "you deserve it, sweetie." I started writing the phrase in my notebook like it was a foreign language. "You deserve it," because no one had ever said that to me. I didn't ask for much. I didn't want designer bags or weekend spa trips. I wanted one thing: a laptop. Not for fun, not for status, for freedom. Freedom to study, to research, to build a future I knew they weren't thinking about for me. So I researched, I compared models. I circled prices in catalogs like it was a mission briefing. And I saved. Birthdays were the most brutal. Kay would squeal and rip through piles of pastel wrap packages. Glitter earrings, perfume-branded sunglasses. I'd sit with a forced smile and quietly slide cash-filled envelopes into my pocket. No tears, no protest. Just quiet mental math. $80 more to go. 53 now, almost there. My parents never noticed. Or maybe they did and chose not to. Once my dad caught me counting bills in the corner of the living room. He laughed. "What's the plan this time, Valentina?" I looked up hopeful. Maybe this time he'd ask. Maybe he'd want to know. "A laptop," I said. "The library's always full," but he was already looking away, distracted by the ding of Kay's phone. She had posted a new photo, and just like that, I disappeared again. It happened on a Tuesday, a regular school night. Kay had just come back from the mall with 3 shopping bags and a 1,000-watt smile. "Moom, guess what? The new earrings just dropped." And I got the last pair. She danced into the kitchen, twirling like she was on stage. My mom clapped like it was a Broadway performance. "You deserve it, sweetie. You've been through a lot lately." I was sitting at the counter, quietly eating reheated spaghetti. And I remember the fork in my hand stopped midair. "You deserve it." The words echoed like a fire alarm in my head, shrill, piercing, impossible to ignore. Because in that moment, it hit me. I had never heard those words in my entire life. Not when I got into Georgia Tech. Not when I made honor roll. Not when I worked double shifts to save for my laptop. No one ever looked at me with pride in their voice and said, "You deserve this, Valentina." I didn't want the earrings. I didn't want applause. I just wanted to be seen, to be valued, to be told even once, "You worked hard, you matter, you deserve it." But that sentence, so casually said to Kay, split something inside me. I remember staring at my plate, the spaghetti going cold, and thinking, Maybe if I disappeared, they wouldn't even notice. That was the moment I stopped hoping. The day I got the acceptance letter from Georgia Tech, I ran down the hallway like a little kid on Christmas morning. Mom, Dad, I did it. I got in with a full scholarship. My hands were shaking as I held the envelope open. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. This was it. Years of babysitting, late-night studying, tutoring, volunteering, it all led here. Not just college. A full ride, no debt, no burden on them. I thought they'd be proud. I thought maybe, just maybe, this time it'd matter. My mom was in the living room, crouched behind Kay, helping her adjust a selfie pose. She didn't even look at me. "That's nice, Valentina," she said, still adjusting the lighting on Kay's cheekbone. "Kay, tilt your head just a bit. Yes, perfect." I stood there, letter in one hand, breath caught in my throat. My dad peeked over his phone for half a second. "Good job, kid," he mumbled, then scrolled back to a listing for used Porsches. And that was it. My parents had just been told their daughter got a full ride to one of the top tech schools in the country, and they responded like I'd told them I found a good sale on groceries. It didn't hurt because they didn't throw a party. It hurt because they didn't even pause. No smile, no hug, no "we're so proud of you." Just indifference. I went back to my room, sat on the edge of my bed, and looked at the acceptance letter. The words were still there. "Congratulations, Valentina Garcia," but in that moment they didn't feel real. I had gotten in, but something inside me still felt left out. I still remember the day I got promoted. I was 23, the youngest project manager in my department. A startup in downtown Atlanta, fast-paced, high-pressure, and male-dominated. And I was leading, not surviving. Leading. My team clapped when my name was announced. My boss shook my hand. Even the CEO nodded and said, "She's the future." So I did what any daughter would do. I called home. The phone rang twice. Mom picked up. "Hi, Mom, I just wanted to tell you I got promoted project manager." At 23, there was a pause, a long one, and then her voice lit up, but not for me. "Oh, speaking of, did you see Kay's beauty vlog from Miami? She's partnering with a new brand?" Can you believe it? I blinked. My heart dropped. "Mom, I just said I got promoted." Yes, that's great, honey. But Kay's video hit 20,000 views in 2 hours. Isn't that amazing?" I didn't answer. I couldn't. Because in that moment, I understood something painful. They weren't forgetting me by accident. They were making a choice. Choosing the child who glittered over the one who grinded. And it wasn't the first time. It was just the first time I admitted it to myself. I hung up quietly. I didn't cry. Not then. Instead, I looked around my office, my desk, my team, my title, and whispered, "This is real, even if they'll never see it." There's a kind of silence that doesn't come from the room. It comes from your chest, from your bones, from the part of you that's tired of being invisible. After every ignored phone call, every brushed aside celebration, I started asking myself a question I wasn't ready to answer. What if I wasn't born to be loved, but to be compared? What if I was just a measuring stick? Something to hold up every time Kay needed to look better or feel better. Your sister studied hard. Maybe you should too. Valentina got a scholarship, Kay. You can try a little harder. See how responsible she is. But they didn't say it to praise me. They said it to shame her. And when she smiled, they forgot I even existed. That's when I realized my value wasn't based on who I was. It was based on who she wasn't. And that broke me in a way no insult ever could. Because at least when someone insults you, they acknowledge you. But to be used without ever being seen, that's worse. It's like being in the family photo, but cropped out before it's printed. And so I stopped asking for attention. Stopped trying to earn their love. Because it was never love I was fighting for. It was visibility. I had saved for years. Every extra hour I worked, every bonus I didn't touch. Every Friday night I skipped going out just to put another $50 into my someday account. And then that someday became real. A small one-bedroom condo in Midtown Atlanta, enough from floor-to-ceiling windows, a view of the skyline, a place that was quiet, safe, mine. I walked through the empty rooms with the key still warm in my hand, whispering, "You did this." No help from anyone, no cosign, no family fun. Just me and the girl who used to count babysitting money in a shoebox. That night, I called my mom, not for approval, but maybe, just maybe, for a moment of shared joy. She picked up on the third ring. "Mom, I did it. I bought my first condo. Pause. Really, that's nice. Another pause, and then, oh, guess what? Kay just signed a brand deal with that skincare company. You know, the one with all the Instagram influencers? They're flying her to Miami. My lips parted, but no sound came out. I stood in my empty kitchen alone, holding the phone like it might finally offer comfort. It didn't. That's great for Kay, I said softly. Isn't it? Mom laughed. She's so lucky. And just like that, my milestone faded into static, like it never happened. She didn't ask about the place, didn't ask for pictures, didn't say I'm proud of you. She just moved on. And so did I. Back to silence, back to being the girl who made it on her own while no one clapped. I spent the entire week preparing, scrubbed every corner, hung fairy lights on the balcony, set up a playlist, Atlanta hip-hop soft R&B, and the one jazz track I knew my dad liked. I even baked. Me, baking. Because for once I wanted them to come into my world and feel welcome. My coworkers came first. Marcus brought a bottle of wine. Leia screamed when she saw the skyline view. Girl, this place is you. It's clean, warm, sharp, just like your brain. We laughed, we hugged. They toasted with paper cups and cheap Prosecco. And for one beautiful hour, I felt seen. Then the door opened again. Heels clicked against the floor. Perfume too strong, energy too loud. Kay had arrived. She stepped in, looked around once and said, cute for now, for now. 2 words, casual but cutting. My mom followed behind, carrying a tray of finger sandwiches I didn't ask for. My dad scanned the room unimpressed. We were barely 5 minutes in when Marcus raised his drink and smiled. Everyone, can we just take a second to celebrate Valentina? 23 condo owner, team leader, she's killing it. I smiled, warm, grateful. Just as I was about to speak. Oh, that reminds me, Mom cut in, waving her phone. Kay's shooting a campaign with that luxury jewelry brand next week. She might be in a magazine. Everyone went quiet. Even the music felt like it lowered itself. Kay gave a practiced giggle, tossed her hair, and took the seat at the center of the couch like it was her throne. I stood there, holding my glass, smiling through gritted teeth. And I realized this wasn't a party for me. Not anymore. The evening dragged on like a performance where the star forgot her lines and everyone pretended not to notice. My coworkers kept trying. Marcus asked about my team. Leia complimented the bookshelves I built by hand. But every time someone brought it back to me, my mom would steer it back to Kay. She might fly to Paris next. The brand wants her face on a billboard. She's meeting with an agent. I smiled, I nodded. I sipped, until my dad, who had said almost nothing the whole night, finally spoke. He looked around the room, then looked at me. This is nice, Valentina. Really, you did good. I opened my mouth to say thank you, but he wasn't finished. But let's be honest, your sister, she's got something bigger. She could be famous one day. I froze. It was the way he said it. Soft, almost gentle, like he thought it was a compliment, like he truly believed fame was more impressive than freedom, more valuable than financial independence, more worthy than leadership sacrifice or self-respect. He reduced everything I had built into a decent appetizer while waiting for Kay's main course. I swallowed hard. Leia's hand touched my arm under the table. She didn't say anything. She didn't have to. Her eyes said it all. This is wrong. This is so wrong. And for the first time in a long time, I allowed myself to feel that too. The email came in at 7:42 a.m. I was brushing my teeth bleary-eyed when I saw the subject line. Congratulations, you've won the Global Vision Cruise. 5 months, all expenses paid, a full circle journey to Amalfi, Cape Town, Queenstown, and more. I stood frozen in the hallway, toothbrush in hand. Then I laughed, really laughed for the first time in months. I earned this, every late night, every line of code, every time I swallowed pride at the dinner table. This was for me, not to prove anything, not to win them over. Just for me. The ship set sail from Lisbon, and from the moment we left shore, something inside me began to unlock. In Amalfi, I walked narrow alleys that smelled of lemon and sea salt. No one asked about my sister. No one measured my worth in Instagram likes. There I was, just Valentina, a woman holding a cone of gelato, barefoot on warm stones. In Cape Town, I danced to street music with strangers laughing so freely it startled me. I wasn't being careful, or correct, or impressive. I was just present. In New Zealand, I hiked until my lungs burned and my soul felt rinsed. The air was cold. The silence vast. The sky so big it made every small worry seem ridiculous. And it was there on a mountaintop surrounded by mist that I finally admitted something I had never said aloud to more than what they saw. I always was. For 5 months, I didn't perform. I didn't apologize. I lived. And in living, I healed. The cruise ended in Savannah. I stepped off the ship, lighter, freer, clearer than I'd ever been. 5 months, 5 countries. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel like someone's shadow. I was ready to come home. I drove through the Atlanta streets like I owned them. Window down, hair loose, soul calm. But as I pulled into my condo's parking lot, my stomach dropped. My car was gone. Gone. I blinked, stepped out, and checked the spot again. Nothing. No note, no tow, just absence. Panic crept in. I rushed upstairs. Key in, door opens, and there she was, Kay, lying sideways on my couch, legs crossed, phone in hand, surrounded by shopping bags from brands I couldn't afford and wouldn't want. Takeout boxes scattered the table, her shoes on my rug. She looked up completely unfazed. "Oh, hey, you're back." No apology, no explanation, just entitlement wrapped in lip gloss. "How did you even get in?" I asked, frozen in the doorway. She rolled her eyes. "Spare key. Mom gave it to me. Your place has better light." I couldn't speak. I turned and walked back down. I needed air, answers. I called my mom, shaking. "Where is my car?" She laughed, actually laughed. "Oh, Valentina, we sold it." Kay needed cheering up. "A spa day, a few outfits, she's been through a lot." My voice cracked. "You sold my car, then Dad got on the line." His voice was flat. "It's family, Valentina. What's yours is ours." And in that moment, everything inside me snapped. His voice was calm. So calm it made me feel crazy. "It's family, Valentina. What's yours is ours." I stood in the hallway, shaking, staring at the phone like it had just slapped me. My car, the one I bought with late nights and sacrificed weekends, sold for spa days and handbags. And all he had to say was that, my heart pounded, rage rising fast and hot. "Let me get this straight," I said, gripping the phone. "I work, I save, I build, and you just take no apology, no hesitation." "We're family," he repeated. "Family means sharing." I breathed in, and then I said it. Not screamed, not cried, just said it. "Then from now on, I'm not part of this family." Silence, complete, total. I hung up, not because I was weak, but because I was done explaining my worth to people who were never listening. That day I stopped being the daughter who kept forgiving and started being the woman who finally walked away. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on the floor of my condo staring at the empty space where my SUV used to park, staring at the ceiling, staring at everything I'd built, everything they believed they could take without consequence. By morning, I wasn't just angry. I was clear. I opened my laptop, typed in property rights, family theft, Georgia law, and then civil attorney, Atlanta. Some people might call it petty. I called it necessary, because this wasn't just about a car. It was about a lifetime of being told to stay quiet, to be the bigger person, to not embarrass the family. But what do you do when the family embarrasses you? I hired a lawyer named Jill. Sharp, unapologetic, the kind of woman who didn't blink when I said I'm suing my parents. She nodded once. "Let's do it." Word got out fast. My aunts called, cousins texted. "Are you serious? You're taking your own parents to court? This is going to destroy the family." I didn't flinch, because here's what they didn't understand. They destroyed me first, and this wasn't revenge. It was self-defense. The courtroom was cold, not in temperature but in energy. My parents sat across from me. My father stared at the floor. My mother kept checking her nails. Kay didn't show up. The judge asked me to speak. My lawyer gave me a slight nod. I stood, and for a second, just a second, my hands trembled. Then I opened my mouth. "Your Honor, I know how this looks. A daughter suing her parents. But I need you to understand this isn't about revenge." I paused. They didn't just sell my car. They sold the one thing I ever owned without their help. They walked into my life, took what they wanted, and left like it was normal. The room was still. And when I asked them why, my father said, "What's yours is the family's." So now I'm here to say, if that's true, then this pain, this betrayal, this lawsuit is the family's too. I could feel eyes shift. Even the bailiff looked up. But then I said the line that made the room stop breathing. "I'm not here for a car. I'm here for something else. For once in my life, I'm asking to be seen as someone who mattered. I'm asking for the value they never gave me. Silence, not one cough, not one shuffle. Even the judge leaned back slowly. And in that moment, I wasn't a plaintiff. I was a daughter who finally said what she was never allowed to say. The ruling came in the mail, just a single white envelope, but it changed everything. I won. The judge ruled in my favor. They had to pay restitution. They had to sell the mansion. That house with the marble floors, the glass staircase and Kay's selfie wall gone. My parents moved into a 2-bedroom apartment in the suburbs. No more garden parties. No more influencer Christmas trees. No more pretending. And me, I didn't say a word. Not to gloat, not to explain, not even to ask how they were doing. Because for the first time in my life, I was silent, on purpose. It wasn't out of fear. It wasn't out of guilt. It was power. It was peace. It was the silence of someone who finally stopped begging to be chosen. She didn't throw a party. She didn't post a quote about healing on Instagram. She just started over, in silence. Pottery class hands trembling over spinning clay. Not for art, for focus, for breath. Laptop glowing at 1:27 a.m. She was debugging code, not just programs, but also pieces of her past. A solo hike up to Raven Ridge, cold wind, empty trail. No applause at the summit, just her and the echo of her own heartbeat. There were no parents cheering, no sister watching, no one telling her, "You're doing great." But for the first time ever, her life wasn't waiting for applause. It was finally hers, and that was enough to keep going. The keys felt heavier this time. Not because the car was bigger, but because she had earned every inch of it. She slid into the driver's seat of her new SUV, same model, same color. But it wasn't the same story. There was no one watching from the window. No one asking for the keys. No one mocking her ambition. She adjusted the mirror, catching her own eyes. I didn't buy this to prove anything to anyone. I bought it because I survived. Because she survived the theft of her trust, the silence after her achievements, the erasure of her identity. This SUV wasn't a prize. It was a boundary with wheels. A moving declaration that she didn't owe anyone a damn explanation anymore. And when she drove off the lot alone, she wasn't chasing approval. She was driving her own life forward. It started with one quiet Friday night. A few mismatched wine glasses. Marcus and Laya curled on the floor with blankets and stories. And her, not fixing, not performing, just existing. The kind of laughter that came that night, it wasn't sharp, it didn't leave a sting. It didn't feel like survival. It felt like being seen. Marcus handed her a glass of red and said, "You're not too much, Val. You were just around people who gave too little." The room went silent for a beat. And then she laughed. Not the tight, polite laugh she'd mastered all her life, but something else. Raw, ugly, free. She didn't notice the tears at first, but Leia did and held her hand. That night, for the first time in years, Valentina stopped feeling like a problem to be solved. She felt like a person with a place and a chosen family. The camera lingers on Valentina's face, no tears, no anger, just calm, dangerously calm. Her voice isn't loud, it doesn't need to be. If you had to choose between your family and your self-worth, which would you pick? It's not rhetorical. It's not dramatic, it's devastating. Because everyone watching suddenly realizes they've never truly asked themselves that. The ones who've kept the peace for years. The ones who've swallowed hurt to stay close. The ones who think love means sacrifice even if it kills you slowly. Valentina doesn't blink. I didn't want to choose, but they made me. And now she's still standing, still breathing, still whole. She sits by the window of her new apartment. Not grand, not luxurious, but hers. The city lights flicker like stars. They don't judge, they just exist. Valentina watches quietly, coffee in hand, soul in rest. No one's clapping, no one's taking photos. And for the first time ever, she doesn't need them to. I don't need their praise. I don't need their permission. I've lived through fire and I came out gold. The camera fades to soft amber light. Pictures on the wall, friends, hikes, messy pottery. A life, her life. Loving yourself isn't a switch, it's a path. Some days quiet, some days loud, but every step is yours to take. She smiles, not for the world, not for a camera, just for herself. The frame lingers on Valentina's reflection, not in a mirror, but in the window. The city moves, but she is still, certain, peaceful. We hear her voice in soft narration. For years, I chased their approval. Every award, every promotion, every little win, I hoped they'd look at me and finally say, "We're proud of you." She closes her eyes. But that day never came, and maybe it never will. But something else did. She opens them again, brighter, stronger. I stopped needing them. I started seeing myself. And now I no longer live to make them proud. I live to make myself proud. The final shot fades to black. But her words echo like a quiet anthem for anyone who's ever been unseen. Not everyone is born into a family that sees them. Not every hard-earned win gets a "we're proud of you." But Valentina taught us something powerful. Self-respect isn't selfish. Walking away from people who hurt you doesn't make you the villain. And living for yourself, that's the bravest thing of all. You can't control how others love you, but you can decide how you love yourself. Stop trying to be the perfect child. Start becoming the real you, unapologetically, fiercely, fully. If you've ever felt like the forgotten one, if you've ever kept quiet just to keep the peace, if this story made you pause and breathe a little deeper, hit that subscribe button. Not just to hear more stories like this, but because deep down you deserve to feel seen too. This isn't just a storytelling channel. It's a place for people who've been overlooked, underestimated, and told to be grateful to finally speak, heal, and rise. Let's rewrite the ending together. Starting now, starting with you.